everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WOCReader, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about what the hell is going on in Black Kidlit, and you're probably like, what is going on in Black Kidlit? And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I frequently talk about Black Kidlit. I read picture books, I read board books, I read chapter books, I read middle grade and YA. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I also often talk about my nieces and nephews and giving them books with children who represent them. It's important for them to have that imagery, to see themselves as the main character in the story. And I have a lot of author friends that I've been able to connect to over the past 5 years, which is great. But a lot of authors are jumping from Kidlit over to adult because it's getting harder and harder to sell in Kidlit, and it's very stagnant. The publishers only want certain types of stories. So you may or may not have heard about teachers and librarians venting their frustration about the length of middle grade. Within the past 5 years, middle grade has gotten very lengthy, where a lot of the books are around 400 pages, especially if it's middle grade fantasy. And they've started reading just exactly like the YA fantasies. You have the same authors kind of jumping back and forth between both, and they have not switched up their writing style. So the only real difference between some of these stories is in this book the character is 11, because that seems to be the magic age, and then in this book the character is 17, 18. But otherwise to that, it's higher vocab in a lot of these books, and the lexile level is just higher, which really does intimidate kids, especially because we are in a literacy crisis right now. A lot of kids aren't on the reading level that they should be, and they need books that can ease them in to these higher level lengthier books. Because another thing that publishing really hasn't embraced is chapter books. So I have an 8-year-old niece who we just found out is reading on a 5th to 6th grade level. Amazing. I was so happy when her mother texted me and told me and asked me for book recommendations. I was like, finally, this is my time. And I just started scanning my blog, scanning my Instagram, trying to figure out series I've recommended, series I've read, getting my bookshelves for the books that I put aside for her. But she's coming from a space where she's been mostly reading these shorter beginner chapter books, and we've been slowly easing her into the longer chapter books. There aren't a lot of longer chapter books because publishers really don't see the value in chapter books like they used to. So when I'm looking for chapter books with Black children at the forefront, it is difficult. There's a handful of series. It's once you've read those handful of series, then you're expected to immediately jump into middle grade. But a lot of the middle grade is so lengthy. So you might be reading a chapter book that has some paranormal or magical things in it, and it's 144 pages. Well, now you're expecting children to jump from 144 pages to 400 pages. That's intimidating. It takes a long time to work up to that. Even for me, sometimes that's intimidating. And I don't always have the time to read all the middle grade I want to because it is so lengthy. And then I don't know if you guys have noticed, middle grade hasn't been getting as many audiobooks as it used to. There are a lot of books I've been talking about all year that I want to read. There are a lot of books on my TBR that I still have not gotten to just because I don't always have the time to sit down and read a 400 plus page book, because some of these books are over 400 pages. And it would be easy if I could sit back and listen to it, because I do a lot of audiobook listening on my commute to work, during my lunch, on my commute from work. I'm sitting in traffic for about 15 to 20 minutes in the morning, and then 15 to 20 minutes in the afternoon, depending on the day. And then I have an hour lunch. So I have some time to sit and like listen to books, and I would love to read more of these middle grades, but it's like you have these longer books and then they're also not as accessible. It becomes harder. Kids are on the go. They don't have just like all day to sit down and read a book. They have activities they have school, they have homework, they have activities. Like I have an 11-year-old niece who is constantly on some kind of sports team. I am constantly trying to give her books that she's interested in reading. Graphic novels do work, but we can't just rely completely on just giving the kids who are struggling with prose graphic novels. They do need to get comfortable reading prose, and they should be able to find more prose books that are shorter, quicker reads. I feel like when I was growing up, we had a lot of those shorter, quicker reads. Books were easier to get through. We didn't have as many lengthy books, and we had a lot of series where you could have more than 10 books in the series. We don't have that now. The ones that people are recommending are mainly older series that have been around since I was a child. But for newer series or diverse series, we're not getting those 10 plus books. Unless it's like a special series where they purposely are doing, every book is by a different author. So children aren't having that same experience. And I don't know why. Like I said, the publishers are just adverse to chapter books. It's like they don't know how to price them either, because they'll release paperback and hardcover simultaneously sometimes, and the hardcover will be $17.99 for 100 and something odd pages. And that is a lot of money. These book costs add up. Speaking as somebody who has bought many books this year for my niece just to encourage her, it gets pricey trying to buy some of these books to support her, like the way she's reading. And then I find myself too, if I want to find books with Black kids at the forefront that are chapter books, looking to UK authors, because sometimes they have some Black books there to suit her needs. But then I'm paying full price for those books because they're coming from outside of the country. They're not sold in the bookstores here. Have to sometimes pay like international shipping too, or hope it's on Blackwell's. So I really have to think, okay, am I gonna buy this book at like $19, and is she going to love it? She better love it for what I'm spending. But also I can't just give her a stack, because it's like, okay, I bought 2 books and that's about $40. That makes it inaccessible to people, especially when there are a lot of children who are living in lower income areas, and just the cost of everything right now. Like, even if you're not living in a lower income area, everything is expensive right now. So a lot of times when you're making your purchasing decisions, you're like, how much use can I get out of it? Because I need to figure out if I want to buy something that they're going to get multiple uses out of. Or a lot of times with a book, you might read it like once or twice, or you're not reading it back to back right away, so you don't know how much use it's going to get. When I am on the hunt for picture books, and I've talked about this multiple times, I've noticed that a lot of the topics in them are very much the same over and over again. There is never not a month where there's not multiple books about natural hair releasing and I understand our hair is different and has been ostracized, but Black children, the most out of all groups, get these books that are just centered around their hair. It's not enough for others to just be able to have these books where the kids are wearing their natural hair and going on adventures. The book specifically has to be about going to the salon and spending all day getting your hair done there. The book has to be about wash day and spending a couple of hours getting your hair done. It almost makes our hair feel like work, because we're still feeding into the idea that you need to do this and this and this to be able to have nice natural hair. Whereas I'm at the age where sometimes I'm just like, let me quick wash this, spin it in, throw in a wig and go. Kids are running around, their hair's getting messy, it's not staying perfect. I'm like, why are we dedicating so much space in publishing, so much space on the shelf to these books where like they're spending so much time worrying about their appearance only? Yes, appearance is important, good hygiene is important, and definitely something we teach in our families, but also I feel like we're not giving Black kids enough space to dream, because there are a lot of kids who don't have the means to be able to leave their neighborhood. So books can be the outlet to something greater, like especially seeing these images where it's like, oh, this person went off and did this. Where are the books where Black kids can imagine being an astronaut? Those are few and far between. I can name a few, but I would have to think hard to name 5 off the top of my head. Where are the books where Black children are going to the aquarium, where they're exploring under the sea? Where are the books where they're flying on magic carpets, where they're going to the age of the dinosaurs? There's just so many stories that we can tell, but our Black authors are really regulated to, here's Day at the Salon #2, here's Nana's Magic Comb. And I'm just like, once you read a couple of these books, you've basically read them all. And I know they're well loved. I see librarians talk about them all the time. I see educators talk about them. But what other imagery can we show Black children? It's just always natural hair. It's always, this is what we're doing in our neighborhood today, which again, it's important to big up your neighborhood, to have that love and appreciation for your neighborhood. But also, what else can we show them? Like, how about more books with them playing various sports? Like maybe not just basketball and football, but other types of sports they've never thought of before. And I have girls who just like love fantasy. So when we get a book with a fairy, that's a big deal. Seeing like imagery with Black girls and fairies. And I would love to see more with Black girls and boys that are fairies. I would love to see more books for Black boys in general. That's always just like a big thing on my mind. And it has to be more than just going to the barbershop. Let's see them doing different things. Let's see them having adventures. Let's see them going to the zoo. Let's get more Black male voices into the space too, because then a lot of times when I do find books with Black boys, they're written by women, which is not a problem. But let's allow space for Black men as well to be able to tell these stories to Black boys. I just think that I want to see more new authors with ideas that are out of the norm getting those opportunities. I had a friend who pitched a book about a Black boy and aliens. It was a short and middle grade, and she was told there was no space for it, even though it was much needed, which was crazy to me, because a lot of these publishing decisions come to how can we justify this price point rather than does this actually suit the children's needs? And even crazier to us was literally the next year we saw a book published that had Black kids and aliens, but it was by a Coretta Scott King award winning author. So that author was able to do it. Now I haven't checked to see how well they promoted that book, because again, lack of promotion is another big issue. But just the fact that people are trying to write something different and getting shot down, we're not talking about that enough. We're not talking about how it's becoming harder and harder to enter these spaces unless you're a celebrity or you're like big on social media, where they think they can use your following to try and sell these books, unless you're writing about certain topics, unless you're writing Kidlit that is more geared towards the adult reader versus the actual kids. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below on this topic. Also, I started a wish list for my 8-year-old niece to try and get her more books. I've gotten her plenty of books, but again, books are expensive, and I am trying to get her more of these stories where she can see herself on page. A few years back for my birthday, I dropped a wish list, and so many people were generous with buying books off that wish list, and I was able to help her build her brown girl shelf. So I'm trying to do that again with more chapter books and middle grade. So I'm going to link that in the description box down below. You're not obligated, but if you would like to purchase a book, we would really appreciate it. If you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!